Hello and welcome to the Unconventional Podcast with Grace Hardy. Today we have Alex Falcon on, who's joined us, so thank you for coming.
Hi Grace, thank you for having me on the show.
You decided not to go to university.
Yes.
What was sort of your decision making behind that choice?
So one of the reasons why I decided not to go was financial reasons. It was a bit strange because none of my family kind of went to uni, and I didn't actually know about this whole uni life because I don't know, like my mum was from Spain and like she didn't really understand about this whole like education system. And it was only when I was Bedford College, everybody was filling in these like really big, massive, long applications, and I'm not really a fan of like filling in paperwork. And when I started to learn a little bit more about like uni life, everyone was saying, "You're going to get a loan and we're going to have this," and I was like, that is like the last thing I want on my mind, is to have this big debt and to go to uni, and then I wouldn't have had any kind of financial support. So I would have probably have had to work at the same time. Yeah. So I was like, how am I going to manage work and study at the same time? And so it was then I was like, no, I'd rather pick a career or do something that was going to help me kind of like grow my financial funds rather than get into debt really young.
Yeah, where did all that financial savviness come from such a young age?
So like my mum, like unfortunately she passed away now, but she just really struggled financially. She was a single parent and she had me and my two brothers, and everything was like always really difficult, always challenging. And so I watched that as we grew up. Everything was really hard. You know, charities come to the house and help us with food and with uniforms and things like that. And so I used to think like I don't ever want to be in that position. Like it was really hard to watch and to be part of that. Then to get into debt, I just thought that it's just something that I didn't want to do. So I did like young enterprise at school as well, and I learned about business and about like making money. And I think I've always been kind of entrepreneurial growing up. Like I used to sell 10p Space Raiders to people who had like the munchies at school, and I used to, this sounds really terrible, but like I used to like steal my mum's cigarettes. I don't know if I should admit this, but like I then used to sell them to kids that's not kids, like people who smoked at school. Oh my God, I'm getting so much trouble. But it was like I had to get by somehow, like, and you know, I wanted to have things that my friends had, so I just had to like hustle my way. And I guess like it was just all like entrepreneurial stuff from a really young age, and I guess I didn't really know what that was then until I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I was.
But do you know what? That's absolutely brilliant. And I did the same thing. So my mum's a single mum too. And I remember going into school and I used to sell sweets at break time.
Me too.
And I used to hide them in a PE locker with a massive padlock. Otherwise everyone would raid them. And then there would be a queue and people would buy sweets from me from my sports locker.
Yeah, exactly. So I think where you like desperate times and all things like that, you just find ways to kind of make money. And I was kind of forced in that position, so just had to kind of get my way out of things and just like earn money in ways where, you know, other kids would have got pocket money, for example.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I sort of believe that no one sets out to be an accountant. No one has a dream and goes, oh my God, I really want to be an accountant. How did you get into it?
Funny enough, like I went to a careers advisor guy, and like I sat with him and said, I don't really know what to do. I want to go into fashion. I'm very, very creative, and I loved art. And he's like, oh no, you're not going to make it, kind of thing. Like,
that's
it's
so
really
harsh.
hard. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, it's not like I've moved away from that. Like I've used like my creativity, like in everything that I do, especially my work.
Yeah.
You know, even like, you know, social media and things like that. Like I use it as much as possible. And then because I'd done young enterprise, like I always thought like eventually like I would like to set up my own business. But what he did say was that if I learnt to be an accountant, I would save myself loads of money, because basically like you need to have a financial like background or financial acumen to be successful, and people with financial backgrounds are more likely to be successful than people that don't, especially if you run a business. So I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I was like 16 and I was like, I managed to get a job, a voluntary job. I offered myself to a local accountancy firm at the age of 16.
Oh, bless you.
And yeah, I just started to learn like things like paper methods and manual calculations and like big till rolls, and yeah, just having to do like extended trial balances like on paper and sticking them together. It's hilarious.
And what's a trial balance for those that don't come from a financial background?
So trial balance is, I don't know, no, I'm joking, is where all of your, like the figures, like all of your income, all the money that you earn and all of like your costs, like all of your payments that you pay out, everything kind of like comes together in one area, and then it's like the total of the balances at the end of the year. And you use that information to prepare profit and loss and financial statements.
Honestly, I cannot imagine how you did that on paper, because it's all on softwares and people do it on Excel now.
Exactly. So before, we had to draw out like T accounts and do like debits and credits, and it was really long-winded, but I'm really grateful for that background information and that knowledge and education, because now I do things like really automatically and quite fast, and I see what the software does. Whereas somebody that's learning today just see what the software does. They just see the end picture. They don't see and potentially understand what's happening like deep down in the background.
Yeah, and that's so important. But when did you start taking your accounting qualifications?
I did AAT.
Me too.
Which is like amazing qualification to have. And then from that, I then did ACCA. And I continued. I had like a couple of gaps in between, and then I continued all the way like till the age of 26, where I then become fully qualified.
It must have been such a relief, because that is so many exams to take.
It was a lot of exams. I don't know, like I didn't really have that much confidence then, and I just thought I wasn't capable of like achieving the exams.
Why not?
Unfortunately, my mum, she was an alcoholic, and so I had to kind of do a lot of things like independently and on my own, and going through the exams, and I just had like different focus. So my friends were like going to parties and things like that, and I had a completely different life, and I just thought, how am I going to get through all of this stuff? And I left home at the age of 16, so I then had bills to pay, and I had different responsibilities compared to people around me. So it was really challenging for me. And then unfortunately, like before my finals of my ACCA exams, my mum passed away, so I had like 3 months, and then I'm like, oh my god, I've got my final. So I just didn't think I was ever going to finish them.
No, oh my god, I have no idea how you made it through, because that is so unbelievably difficult. So do you know what, well done to you.
Thank you.
Because that's absolutely incredible to juggle that many things at once, because I've been through grief through exams, and it's so tough. It was grandparents at the time, and I love them so dearly, and I made my whole company based around them because they mean so much to me. I can't even imagine what you went through, because it's so tough, because those exams are so difficult as well. They're not a walk in the park.
Yeah, no, they're really hard and really tough. I know, like in a way, like sometimes I like to share the story, because people who are going through difficult times and challenging times, and it's like, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and like just focusing and concentrating and kind of getting your head down even through difficult times, it's like you can still be successful and you still can achieve things. And that's kind of why I do share that side of it as well, because we're all human and we do go through things, and we go through ups and downs, especially like the younger generation, even the people that went through COVID, like mental health and things like that. And it's like, you still can achieve stuff. You don't need to do it like in a traditional way that everybody's teaching you and what society is telling you how to do it. I created my own path, and I just followed that, and then made sure that I was getting what I needed from life to be able to achieve the things I wanted to do in the end.
And I think that's so true. Like, to be an accountant, it's told you at school that you need to go to university and study accounting and finance, then join a grad scheme, then sit your ACA or your ACCA or whatever it may be, and then you'll be an accountant. And I thought, I don't want to go to university. That seems like a massive waste of time. And a bit like you, couldn't really afford to do it. I definitely would need to get another job. And I was like, why am I wasting all this money? And then apprenticeships came to me, and I was like, oh, so you're telling me I can be paid and someone's paying for my qualification as well at the age of 18. I think that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a similar thing for me. So I think my first job, I got paid something like £8,000. It was hilarious. And then I think my second job, like in practice, I got about 13,000. But then my entire qualification was paid for. And so for me, I just thought, well, I would much rather get paid a salary and they pay for me. It made much more sense than going to uni than having £50,000 debt. To me, I just saw the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely huge, because you're getting all that experience as well. I used to train grads that were coming out of university, and they might have done a degree in accounting. They had no experience whatsoever. They came in on the first day, and basically it was a blank slate, because they didn't know how to put any of that theory into practice whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing was, in jobs that in companies that I work for, and then people join the company from uni.
Yeah.
I was like flying through, and I was like, yeah, I could do this, I could do that. I used to think, well, if I had a degree, I'd get paid more, and they got paid more. And sometimes I thought,
they do.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they getting paid more than me? Like, I've got the experience and I can do the job, and I'm training them. And it didn't make sense to me. But I was like, you know what, I'm not going to let that affect my career, and I'm just going to continue, because eventually I'm not even going to be thinking about salary.
Exactly. And I think that's so true. Like, I definitely found that when I was at my apprenticeship. I was like, why are these grads being paid more than me? Because I know more and I do more in my job than they do. And at the time, it got to me for a small moment, because I thought, this is really unfair. And then you're right, I was like, well, actually, now I can go do my own thing.
So I started my business actually when I was 34. The reason being is because I wanted to actually get the experience that I needed. I swear, it's same as like, you're never going to be an accountant. Like, you're never going to set up an accountancy practice. I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to have a practice. Like, it's too much hard work. But then I realised like how much I actually love the work. And then looking after clients and, you know, getting involved in, because people think it's just about numbers, but it just so isn't. Like, I mean,
there's so much more to it.
So much.
And you decided not to become just an accountancy practice on the high street. You've now set up remotely and do digital nomading. Where did that come from? If you're here because you're interested in a career in finance, there's no better place to turn than AAT. I should know, that's how I started out. Every year, thousands of school leavers, finance professionals, and career changers choose to study AAT qualifications. They come out with a qualification that employers value, increased salary potential, and a wide range of career progression opportunities. Did you know a large number of FTSE 100 CEOs come from an accountancy background? You can study at home or in the classroom. Depending on your circumstances, you may be able to get your studies funded. You can also earn and learn in the workplace as an accounting apprentice. Find out more about careers in finance at aat.org.uk/unconventional.
From like early days, like one of my dreams, and I used to talk to my mum about this, I was like, I just want to travel the world. And so like it's always been in the back of my mind. And somebody like coming from a really poor family, you think to yourself, it's never going to happen. And it's like, you know, you see the prices and you're like, I can't afford that ticket to go to that country. And like, how do people afford it? And how come all these people are going on holiday around me and coming back? And, you know, even kids at school showing like the photos of their holidays and things like that. And I don't know, it wasn't there for me. So it was just even more of a big goal and challenge to think, right, what can I do so that I can give myself that dream? Mm-hmm. When I set the business up, cloud technology came out, which was just so like fortunate and great timing, which then enabled me to create a business model where I can travel the world and run a business.
And that's amazing. But how do you finance doing that? Because obviously you can't just jet away with no money.
So, I mean, it's not an overnight process. I didn't just go, I'm going to go and travel the world and set up a business. So, you know, I put the steps into place. I had it in the back of my mind. These are the steps that I need to take to get there. So first step was obviously starting a business. I sold my car, which I had, I think it's like a 1 Series BMW, like at the time, you know. I'd had a really good job before. So, you know, I had a comfortable salary and a mortgage. I sold it for $8,000 and that was my startup fund. Mm-hmm. I gave myself, I don't know, like 6 months. I thought, okay, if it's not successful, then I'll just get a job. Then I gave myself some targets and some goals and thought, right, each month I'll just make sure like I try my best to hit those goals. And gradually, like the business got bigger and bigger, and to the point where, again, I'd never imagined like I'd be able to buy like a sort of like a dream home kind of thing. Yeah. And I managed to do that after the first year.
That's amazing. What things did you put in place for that amazing growth?
I was probably considered as like an early adopter and a trailblazer in the industry. None of the people around me even knew what cloud was. They didn't know that you had all this technology to automate stuff and process. People were using like desktop and manual methods, and I know they still are, but this is even more so. Yeah. Because at the early stages, people weren't using technology. So many clients were interested in having that conversion and the technology conversion. So there was like this huge area of clients where they just wanted to transform. Mm-hmm. And so I was at that stage where I was able to help them and move them along and convert them. So again, I was right time of my life to be able to... But
also a lot of hard work.
Yeah, to transition them.
Yeah. And so what were the next steps after that?
So the next steps after that was to then slowly and gradually go to like countries or places and implement things where I didn't need an office or I didn't have to run back home. And so I would go to, I don't know, I went to Portugal, for example, and then I would make sure I can stay there and not think, okay, I need to go home. And there were times where something did go wrong. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to fly home. It was so dumb.
What kind of things went wrong at the beginning where you needed to fly home?
I mean, I thought in my head I needed to fly home. I didn't need to fly home. It was just in my head. It was like, I just needed to change my mindset, and I just needed to think to myself, wherever you are, whatever you do, there's always something or somebody that is willing to help you and support you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so used to being independent from a young age. Like I forget that there are people out there that genuinely want to support you and help you as a business owner. And so, things like I don't know, like payroll would go wrong or something. I'm like, oh my God, I need to go back. And I did. I flew back early. I did like a Microsoft migration to Google, and it was just taking so slow. And I just thought maybe it's just like the Wi-Fi, but it just wasn't. And so I thought I need to go home and I need to finish it, but I didn't. Each time I went away, I'd go away for a little bit longer. And anything that would happen, I would then implement a new system, a new process, a new bit of technology that I needed to strengthen it. And it allowed me to strengthen up the communication, like with the team members, with the business, with the clients. Like it just allowed me and enabled me to fix things gradually over X amount of time. And then COVID hit. Obviously, I didn't feel great about the COVID situation, but what I did feel good about is that everything was already geared up. My clients were already geared up for this COVID situation.
And that you must have felt so sort of lucky in that sense that all of your clients were on cloud software.
Everyone was on cloud software, and their processes and their systems and my business, everything was like already done, but it actually enhanced technology
massively.
And it kind of proved the point that thank goodness we were in the cloud.
I think that's so true, and I think it sped up technology a lot. For example, like I started my apprenticeship during COVID, and we had to learn to do everything completely remotely, speak remotely, go to clients remotely, sort out audits, etc., completely remotely. And I saw loads of clients giving up their offices, going, we're just going to run this company just online now, because they realised that they could do it, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So many people diversified, and not just like with their office, like with their income streams as well. And again, it just brought like new opportunities. So where people were sort of freaking out, a lot of us saw opportunities on, okay, how can we improve? How can we change it? And I took the opportunity to travel longer and enhance my digital nomad life.
I think that's amazing. But what sort of challenges come with digital nomading, especially in terms of managing a team remotely? Because I think that's really difficult.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on your model and who you choose to work with, in your company. And you do have people that would like to go to an office, and you have people that love working remotely. When you decide who you employ, I think that recruitment process is quite important, because if you have somebody on one side that really needs to have people around them, needs to be trained, then that's challenging. So one thing that I do feel sad about is that I can't really take on trainees, because I essentially, I'm not there to support them like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
I did have in the beginning, but it didn't work. I need to have experienced, qualified people that can do the work and that they can support the business and the clients.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge for me, because I tend to like feel things a lot as well. Like I work very intuitively. And one of the things is if somebody, like one of my clients or a friend or family is going through a difficult time and I'm away, sometimes I would kind of feel, okay, what do I need to do right now? Is that a moment where I need to return home? And sometimes that can be challenging. You're going to come across things. But the other side of me is does actually say, look, like I am here, I am in this situation. I remain as positive as I can, and I try and deal with things in a logical way, to remove the emotion a little bit.
And I struggle with that too, because I'm such an emotional person. And if I feel something, I feel it very wholeheartedly, and logic just goes straight out the window.
Yeah, and this is where I have changed over the years, and how like my mindset and how I think, and how I deal with things on a day-to-day basis. So, if something bad has happened, like for example, I just recently got scammed by £53,000, and
oh my God, how did that happen?
I basically got scammed, and they took the funds from my Revolut account, and it is a huge amount. And I thought I was talking to the Revolut team, but it wasn't the case. And so when they did take the money and I recognised that the funds were gone, yes, at that moment, my heart sunk and I thought, oh my God, this has actually happened to me. I never imagined it would ever happen to me. I look back now and I see all the red flags. And when I talk to people about it, that they're more shocked than I am. And it's not that I don't care. Is the fact is, when there's something so serious that's happened, my brain switches to, okay, what can I do about it? How can I take action? How am I going to fix this situation? How can I help others? I think that also comes from life experience and from life resilience. It's like survival mode. And it's like, I'm not going to allow this to continue to happen to me and to others. And so I'll put things into place that I know will then make sure that it won't happen to other people.
Yeah, like speaking out about it, which is really important. I've seen a couple of your LinkedIn posts. You're on the BBC today speaking about it, which I think is really important because people need to know. And so the same thing doesn't happen to them, and spreading awareness about it is so important.
Yeah, so I guess, like, everyone has like business challenges, as a nomad, or like if you're in an office, or the types of employees that you take on. But I think in the end, when you set a business up, you create your own path and you create the way that you want to roll that business out. And so in the end, you attract those types of people that you think will work really well in that way. And then the people that you end up working with, if they know things from the very, very beginning, they know the goals, they know the visions, they know the mission, they know the clients, they know how they want to achieve it, then it will work in that way.
And I think systems and processes must be so crucial to your business, so you can just hand things over to someone when they come on board. Those lovely letters after my name, MAAT. That's an internationally recognised professional status in accounting and finance. It tells employers and clients that I've reached a high standard of education and experience. It's not just the designatory letters. AAT full membership brings a whole host of benefits, including free support helplines, CPD resources, and access to exclusive rewards. If, like me, you want to be your own boss, there's also the option to become an AAT licensed member and get tailored support to help you run your own accounting business or bookkeeping business. Find out more about different AAT membership options at aat.org.uk/unconventional.
Yeah, so we've got a very tight business processes. So everything is documented. For every client, every area of their business about the client. And so a remote person can step in, which I use a product called Confluence, and everything is there. And we have videos in there and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like you can step in, for example, Grace, and, you can do one of my clients' bookkeeping, because it will show you a step-by-step process, and then it will explain about the client and all their like funny little like
niggles.
Yeah, like niggles, or their preferences. So
what advice would you give to someone that wants to start digital nomading in their business?
First of all, make sure that you're going to do something that you're passionate about and that you love. Being a digital nomad is like very, very exciting, but you do have some times where you genuinely are on your own, but you find communities. Starting a business is making sure you have the right processes in place, test your systems, make sure people understand, like if you've got documented processes, that they understand it when you're not there, because it's one of the crucial things that if they can't get hold of you from time zones, or you're mid-flight or anything like that, then you do need to have strong people behind you to actually support you. At the beginning, it might not be the case, but later on, when you are in a financial position to recruit those people, it's really important that they are highly skilled people. And again, just trying to travel the world and enjoy your moment and network as much as possible, because one of the main things that I do when I travel is I still go to international conferences, I still do my meetups, I still go to special events that are held in relevant countries or wherever I am in the world. And I've come across people where I just never imagined getting even entrepreneurial tips from, and nomading tips.
That's amazing. Where do you go and find these people to network with? Is there an app that you recommend people to download, or you just go out into the abyss and chat and find people?
So it's a mixture of quite a few things. So like I use LinkedIn and I connect with people in those countries. I will go onto Google Maps and look for certain businesses. Sometimes I start off with accountants because I'll see, are they Xero, are they ACCA? Because Xero and ACCA are global.
Yeah.
And so I will start off usually and connect. For example, when I went to Bali, I connected with a Xero accountant and then we became friends. So that was really awesome and we stayed connected. I use a Meetup. When you do work remotely, you can go to co-working spaces, and in co-working spaces, like they always have events and they always have meetups and they always have they connect you. And if you're working on certain time zones, you're working with people that are on the same time zone as you as well. So you get to make friends, and it's an amazing experience.
That's so lovely. And I think some people might be worried if they're digital nomading. How do they build and maintain client relationships whilst you're in different time zones, whilst you're away, and if you're not doing it face to face?
Again, I guess it depends on the model and type of clients that you have. So I started off my business in the UK and I built up my client base. I then went to international conferences and I kind of built relationships with international clients. It meant that if I was to look after the UK subsidiary, which is what I do, that it didn't really matter what time zone I was in. So if you are careful with your client avatar and what that client avatar looks like, you build it around how you want.
Yeah.
And so if you're selective with your clients and who you sign up, where you're based shouldn't matter. It's about your work and your skills and what you do and your delivery.
And what you're bringing to the table. And I think saying client avatar is really important. I think everyone, no matter what business you're running, should build one. Basically what it is in essence is sort of a profile where you imagine your ideal client and you think where they are, what hobbies they like, what income they bring in, like what they do, etc. And I think that's so crucial because then you can base your marketing and everything like that off your avatar.
Exactly, yeah. And that's exactly what I did.
Good. What do you think builds a really successful practice like you've done? Because it's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight.
I've been doing this for 27, 28 years. I don't even know. Forever, it feels like. It's not an overnight process. It's about being consistent. It's about, keeping focused. It's about maintaining your responsibilities as a business owner. It's about, keeping in check with your clients to make sure that everybody's okay. So I have regular touch points with my clients. They're booked in and they're scheduled in. So I don't have clients where I just check in once a year. It's minimum once a quarter, but otherwise it's weekly or monthly. So It seems quite a lot, but I'm away or I'm in another country, and that shouldn't matter. I should still know and learn and understand what is going on with my clients. And that is a way to maintain your relationships. And face-to-face meetups are really important, to get to know them, what their goals are, things outside of the work. And you know them as individuals, not just as an accountant, but as a friend.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I love building my client relationships in my business. For example, I've got that awards evening on Monday, and I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know where to buy a dress from, but I knew I could text all of my clients and go, where do I buy a nice dress from? And they all replied, and if they were male clients, they went and asked their girlfriends for me, which was so sweet, and came back with a list of websites I could get a dress off. But that's really important for me, and those client relationships are so nice. So you can text them and ask them things, and they'll tell you things, and it's very open communication, which I think is so important to get the most out of your clients.
Yeah, exactly. And I think today's relationship with clients is so much different to what it was years ago, and it is about understanding, and it's important to understand what they need as well, as people, as humans. They've got families, they've got kids who are going through exams, they've got, it's they go through challenging times. And then when you say to them, by the way, I need your VAT bill or your VAT information and this and that, and the last thing they're worried about is, how they're going to get their information over. They just need to get their kids through their exams. So there needs to be an element of understanding about what's going on in their personal lives, because that's how you build your relationships. It's lifetime value. Yes, it's an income, but it's more than that. And I think sometimes people don't understand, being an accountant isn't just about finances. It's a whole lot more. And, I'm really glad that I've got this career.
Me too, honestly. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I never thought I'd be an accountant either. I just don't think anyone dreams of it. But I might be wrong. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I probably would have started the travel like way earlier, or probably would have studied in another country. I was too scared. So I would have said, yeah, just go now. Don't stay in the UK, because I honestly wish I could just wake up at the beach every day. Like, would I have had this digital nomad life if I came from the UK? Probably not. So I probably would have done that. I probably would have said to myself to like start my business earlier as well, because I put it off and I was being too cautious. I was being an accountant.
You're being so skeptical of yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have changed stuff, and I would have just probably been not too scared. I was like, similar story to yours. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna see how it goes. I set up a business, but in the end I was like, oh wow, I can do it.
And you can, and you've done amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.